A little announcement before the start of this video. All last year, I was working on a book cover, and the book is now officially published and available over on Amazon. I'll have a link down in the description to it, but if you guys are interested in a spicy, supernatural, witchy read, definitely go over to the Amazon listing in the description and go get yourself a copy. Again, very spicy, very adult book. If that is your vibe, definitely go and support it. It helps to support me and also supports the author. So I hope you guys enjoy. Bye-bye. Get my phone to focus.
Oh, there's a big one right here. Oh, Lord. Look at him tower over those.
Yeah, I get the feeling these turtles are used to people feeding them.
I get the feeling.
It is currently September 16th, I think, and it's just after the convention I just did, which you'll see not a lot of clips of, honestly, because I was just, there was a lot going on that particular weekend for me. So the con that in question this time is Tidewater Horror Con, and that was one I did last year, which I really enjoyed. The people who run that con are very nice. Everybody who seems to attend it are very cool and very nice. So it's always, again, from last year, that was the case. This year, also the same. It was definitely slower this year than it was previously, but that's also just kind of how all the cons are right now. If you hear anybody else talk about it, we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, they seem very slow. People don't seem to be wanting to buy as much. It was interesting because I was hearing one of the individuals who runs that con, the Tidewater one, Tidewater Horror Con, talking on the second day, and they brought up something that I was like, I never thought about that. For us here in America, it's election year, so that might be part of why more people are hesitant to kind of buy things. But in any case, I haven't done my full like breakdown. I have like a little breakdown that I do for each con in my notebook to kind of look at, you know, where I started, what things sold, how many of each thing sold. I haven't done that yet. Again, lots of stuff going on this week. But I do know that I did break even with the table, and this was definitely one of my more expensive tables. It's a little bit over $200 for this table, but I definitely did break even with it, and I made a little bit of profit. I'm not sure how much profit. I don't think I probably made as much profit as I did last year. Again, I figure out my profit, so to speak, based on how much the table was and, you know, how much I made over the table. Technically, you should be considering everything that you do as far as like how much profit you made, like how much did it cost to make the merchandise, travel, all that kind of stuff. I don't do that because I know it's definitely not enough for me currently with how much I'm making. So from doing this, so I just focus on how much was the table, how much I made after the cost of that table. If it was more than the table, then I'm like, okay, I'm more inclined to do that convention again. I give it a thumbs up for the most part. So it just depends on how much profit. Again, everything else about Tidewater Horror Con I really like, and I think it was just that it was very slow this year. And I think that's just an overall problem. Regardless, still made table, still made a little bit of profit, so I'm happy with it. As far as, like, again, I haven't actually, like, calculated it out, but definitely there was a little bit more of a mix of, I think, what sold. I know I sold a keychain, I know I sold a couple stickers, and I think I probably sold more larger prints, which the largest print I currently offer is an 8.5 by 11, or roughly 8.5, just in general. I have a few kind of awkward sizes that are more of like an 8 by 9. I definitely sold more of those than I did probably any of the smaller sizes. I definitely know somebody bought a 4 by 6 one. And I did sell out of one of my particular prints the first day. So that's another thing. That might be another reason why I didn't make as much profit as probably in comparison to last year when I did this, is because I actually did not table the first day. That was 5 hours because there was a very important family event that was going on. So I had to attend that. It is what it is, which I already at the time when I found that out, I let the show organizers know. They were cool with it. I was cool with it. It was fine. So I only tabled the first, that's a 3-day con. So I only tabled the second and the third day, which the second day was a 9-hour day, and the last day was about a 6-hour day. So overall, I also have noticed a trend where it seems like the hottest time, I have to go back and see if I can find all of it across all the cons I've done, but definitely the hour, because obviously I use Square to take my in-person, especially credit card payments and stuff like that at these conventions. And so you get a report in your email of kind of the breakdown for, the time that you spent selling. And it shows you the hours that you had the most sales for that day. So almost every single time, it is always 12 p.m. that the most sales happen. Do not know. It's like usually around the afternoon mark that the most sales happen. I just found it funny. I don't know if anybody else sees that same trend when they're selling, especially if you use something like Square. I know not everybody uses it. I know some people use like Shopify's, is it POS system? Is that what it's referred to? Whatever, you know what it is, point of sale system. That's what that means. I know some people use that. I think there's some other thing that people use. I got Square because that's what I was used to seeing when I started like attending more conventions. That's what I saw everybody else using. It was really easy to set up. I'm not sponsored. And again, they kind of give you, I think like that first little card swipey one, that's free. I might be wrong at this point, but yeah, I need to probably upgrade that so I can get one that has like the tap available. Because I know that a lot of people want to do tap nowadays, because that's just, unfortunately, I haven't really gotten on board with that yet. So it's like, probably need to update it at some point. Some things that I know I do need to do after this convention is I need to restock on some of my backing boards for what I put my prints in, the sleeves I put my prints in. Oh, I forgot about bags. Probably need to order some more bags. And then like, bags that you put the purchases in, not like tote bags or anything like that with artwork on it. And the other thing I'm finally doing, when I first started doing this, I had bought like an actual like kind of canvas-like plasticky sign. And I fought with that thing every single con of like, cause I was using like just like ties to like tie it up against the front of the table, and it always like the gap, whatever. I used tape this time to help to like stick it, which it definitely worked, but I'm like, it doesn't fit inside of any of my containers that I take to like transfer all of my goods to the convention. So it's just like an extra piece that I have forgotten before. So I was like, is there a better option? It's like I keep seeing people who are using like the tapestry kind of like table runner ones. I'm like, where the hell do I get one of those? I finally figured it out. I got it from the same place I got the banner I got before, but so I did order a new one of those. So we'll see how that looks when I get it, which will hopefully be before my last con for this year, which is also in the same month as this one. So that one is going to be Haunted Screams Expo. It's gonna be the first time I'm doing that convention, and I have no idea how that's gonna go. It's also in a different locale than I've done before compared to, I've done a lot of Virginia Beach ones. This year I did a few Richmond ones, which overall I would say I was not a fan of the Richmond ones. Like I like Richmond as a city, but the particular conventions I did there, one of them I pretty much just broke even with my table. The other one I didn't even make table back, and I also left like halfway through the second day because there was just nothing happening. There was not enough attendance. I later found out that that was a convention that apparently is more so like, yo, all of our friends, we're just gonna go to this thing and then we're just gonna go drink and party afterwards, but we're not actually gonna like do anything. We're not gonna purchase things. We're not there to do that. We're just there as an excuse to hang out together and then go drink. Apparently, that's what I found out. Is what it is. You learn, you gotta test things out. And again, I haven't ventured outside of my local conventions. Again, I try to keep it within a certain, a radius where I can drive to the con and I can drive back home afterwards. So yeah, I haven't done the out-of-state ones. I really need to at some point to figure out how to plan that. I'm just not sure which ones to start with. I know that the people who run the Tidewater Horror Con, they have ones that are like out of state. I want to say they have one in Maryland or they have one in Georgia or something like that. I would definitely consider if I could get into one of those, going to out of state for one of those that they run. Because again, I really like how they run stuff. Most of the other cons that I've done, I definitely know that there's a good portion of them, like the Superstar Anime Con and the Tidewater Comic Con. Those are done by, I think, Incredible Convention or something is their company name. I know they do a bunch of cons. They're all right. They're pretty predictable with how they run things. And I would say that conversely, this year versus last year with both those cons, they improved upon them as far as like how they set up the tables. Those are also done in the same convention center. So I think they're all right. I'm not against them. I kind of know what to expect. If it's a con that they're putting on, I'm pretty confident that I know what I'm walking into, so to speak. I don't know if I'm wrong in that, because again, I haven't done a lot of, I haven't branched out a ton with this kind of stuff. I'm very still new to it. I only started last year. So if other people have different experiences with them, let me know. But yeah, I've rambled on for quite a bit on this, so let's just get back to the rest of this month. Bye-bye. What you got? What you got? You got new toys? You got boop, boop, boop. Sir, let me. Woo! Woo! just got back from the event that you're seeing some clips for. So the con I did this weekend was Haunted Screams Expo in Hampton. And so I actually went in because from their information that they sent out, which the information that they sent out was a little bit confusing because it wasn't very clear what the hours that you can go and set up were. Because you had 2 days that you could set up. You had Thursday if you had requested early setup and you had like big items, or your setup day was Friday. It didn't sound like they would allow you to set up the day of. So, and this was a 2-day con, so Saturday and Sunday. And so went in Friday, and right off the bat, you could tell that the staff were a little frazzled because they clearly had been moving around everything, which was a little bit like, what's going on? So go in, set up, all good. So then comes the first day, which was Saturday. And the short and simple of it is I only made 5 sales in an 8-hour day, starting from 10 a.m. when the VIPs came in, which was like maybe 5 people who were walking around the floor at the time. And then it officially opened at 11 and went on until 6 p.m. And I only made 5 sales. So needless to say, it was extremely slow. And we were just kind of confused because we were expecting it to be much busier than it actually was. And yeah, it was just very strange. It was also, we found it strange that they had come up to all the vendors asking for a donation for prizes for the costume contest. This isn't, I'm used to certain cons coming up to vendors asking if they have donations. Usually in the experiences that I've had, it's been for charity events and not just for the costume contest. So that was another thing that kind of stood out to us as like, how come they didn't already have prizes, settled and made before, and like why were they asking the vendors for donations in that way? It was just very odd. And so Saturday ends, again, only 5 sales, definitely already projecting that I'm not going to make back table, like at all. And so here comes Sunday, which is when I am recording this little unpacking of the situation. We come in about 9:30. We walk into the hall, and already I'm immediately noticing that it's extremely humid. I'm like very confused. Like, am I the only one feeling how humid it is? So me and my partner, we head to my table and we pull off my tablecloth that I was using to cover everything. And immediately the first thing I notice is that all of my stickers that I had in the display, like open display, were curled. They were warped, they were curling. I was like, what is happening? I'm starting to feel around on the table. Everything feels damp. I then look underneath my table, and luckily the box that I put all of my prints in is a waterproof and supposedly fireproof container. So I look at the top of it, and there are literal water droplets on the top of where I keep my prints, my paper prints, and this thing had been sitting underneath the table the whole entire night. So we highly suspect, don't know if this was on the actual convention organizers or the building, but the AC was it seems like it was completely turned off during the night. So there was just heavy moisture and everything. I was talking to the other vendors, again, this was not just a me problem, that not making enough sales. There were plenty of all the other vendors around me. We were all in the same boat. We were all kind of like, what the hell is happening? And yeah, one of the other vendors, she had walked around and was like, yeah, all the guests, like the celebrity guests that they have photos for, to sign autographs. That's how they make their money while they're there. And all of their photos were also curled up because they didn't have them covered. Luckily for me, the only major thing that I had with my situation was just my tablecloth setup and signage felt damp, and the stickers that I did not have in a container were curled. luckily, it didn't seem like it affected any of my prints that I had on display because they are all sealed in a plastic sleeve. I think that was the only saving grace for the rest of my stuff, to not be completely curled up and waterlogged, essentially. So I was very pissed this morning coming in and seeing that. I don't think there's any excuse for that, whether that was the building or the con organizers. Maybe they didn't want to pay to keep the AC on over the night or something. I don't know what the deal was, but I've been at a couple different local convention centers, even a hotel that was having every time I've shown there has had various issues with AC, heating, whatever, and that has never been the case. It's never felt that wet, and literally to have, again, I have the video proof of it, to see water droplets on my stuff because so much water was in the air. So yeah, I was already really not feeling it today, so stuck through it. And as the day progressed, we did see a little bit more of a crowd of people, like maybe around noon to like maybe 2. There was a little bit more of a crowd of people who came in, but I made a couple more sales, nothing really major or big, and I still was definitely not making table. And then right at the end of the day, thankfully, I highly appreciate it. A gentleman came by and bought one of my original pieces, and one of my original pieces that is a higher priced one, and he purchased it, and then right after him, 2 other gentlemen bought 2 prints. So that luckily hit me to at least breaking even with my table, and I'm about, I think, sitting at like maybe like $16 profit. Otherwise, yeah. And today, like halfway through the day, the vendor right across from me, because I was paying attention to all the other vendors during this whole entire, because I was noticing, I'm lucky I'm even making the sales I am, and it's not even enough to break even. So I'm watching all the other vendors, and yeah, a lot of the other vendors were not making any sales. The person right across from me, they packed up halfway through the day, because I don't think they even made one sale during the whole entire event. Like yesterday, and for as much as they were here on Sunday, I don't think they sold anything, and they're packing up. Some of the con organizers and staff, they came over. I saw them talking. When the staff walked away, they did not look happy. But I think that's just how the cookie crumbles, because for an event that I thought was being advertised so much, and it was their 5th year running, there just was not a crowd. And I feel like part of that was maybe other events that were happening during the weekend, because there was an event happening over in Virginia Beach. But the other big thing is I feel like their ticket costs, because we got curious and we were looking how much is it for somebody to attend the con, because there's not a lot of people here. What is happening? And the ticket prices were pretty steep for a 2-day con, in my opinion. And if I were to give constructive criticism for the future, I would definitely highly make sure that you have some air going on over the night so people's stuff does not get damaged, because it's not only just paper goods. People have handmade watercolors, they have bug pinnings, they have stuff that has glue and temperature sensitive stuff. So make sure that you, whether it was the fault on the building or the fault on the con organizers, communicate with them, with whatever party, and make sure that that is covered, and that your vendors do not come in the next day to potentially damage goods. My other constructive criticism is maybe lower the cost of your tickets, so hopefully more people attend, and also when they attend, they have more spare money to spend with your vendors. Because with the way the ticket prices are, it's you're either going to come into this con being I already spent this much money on a ticket, I'm not spending any more money, or you're going to be well, I already spent this much money on a ticket, well, I'm just going to go ham and I'm going to spend a bunch of money with a vendor. It's it's either going to be one or the other. So the short of it is, I do not think I will ever do this particular convention again, unless there are, again, guarantees that there's going to be more of a crowd. It just was not the convention for me, unfortunately. It was, I was very lucky to even have broken even with the table cost. So thank you to the people who purchased something from me. Yeah, I was talking to all the other vendors and we all felt pretty much the same. Like, this seems very strange. We all thought it was going to be a little bit more, just more than what it was. So yeah, that's the my thoughts on it. Again, I'm not wanting to bash it, but it just, these are just the facts. There was not enough attendees to make enough sales to really make it worth my time, unfortunately. So yeah, as I move forward into 2025, as I've already, I don't know if I mentioned in previous vlogs or not, I'm definitely going to be more pick and choosy with the cons I decide to do. I will still try to experiment and try new ones, but I will probably mainly stick with the ones that I've had good luck with, where I'm like, okay, I'm at least making table and maybe like at least, you know, somewhat profit. I'll accept, you know, like the case with Tidewater HorrorCon, where it was like this year I didn't make as much profit as I did last year, but I'm still making profit in 2 years of trying it. So it's like, I'm willing to give that one another shot, even though, again, I talked to people at this con and they had experience, or they heard from like other vendor friends that Tidewater HorrorCon was awful this year. And it's like, I get it. It definitely was a lot slower than last year. But the same with like Superstar Anime Con. There was a lot of people where that con was not good for them at all. It was an all right con for me. Second year of doing that one, and it still was consistently like, I made back table, I made a little bit of profit, so it seems steady enough for me. And I don't know if that's just my luck of where I'm sitting, where my booth, my table happens to be, or what, I just happen to have like a niche thing that, you know, people walk by and they see and they're like, oh, I like that, I'm gonna spend money on it. Like, I'm not sure what the consistency is. I honestly do think with Superstar Anime Con, it had to do with what side of the building you were sitting on with your tables. I feel like people who were on one side of the building, the crowd just wasn't going through there, while the side that I was on, I think more people were walking through there. That was my personal opinion on that one. Again, doing convention stuff is very much a hit and miss kind of experience. So again, in my opinion, when you find the cons that seem consistent enough, it's like, it's worth trying it again the next year. So yeah, that was my experience. Take it, what advice you can from it, and we will continue on with the last few days of this month, or this might be the end of this vlog. I do not know yet. Future me is, that will be her problem, but thank you all.